Welcome everyone, and this is Market Fatafat right here on ET Now. 10,660 on the index, so it looks like we're charging ahead right now with the Sensex 150 points higher. You clearly have the currency which is providing support as well as crude oil prices, but the broader end of the market very meek in terms of its move and still seeing quite an underperformance. But let's move right on then, and first up connect with the management of Astral Poly to talk about the strong quarter gone by. We have Hiranand Salvani, is the CFO of Astral Poly, now with us on the show. Thank you so much for joining in. To begin with, your top line growth has come in higher by 20%. What exactly has led to this?
I think growth is coming from across the segment. We have practically four segments. One is the adhesive segment in India, which is growing around 19%. We have another segment of adhesive overseas that has grown at around 40%. We have a infrastructure piping segment which has grown up 50%, and the core piping business which has grown up close to about 10%. So growth is coming across all the sector, and we are very positive about the growth side, and we think there should not be any problem in the coming quarters also.
How has been your performance in the piping and adhesive segment, and how do you see the revenue mix changing going forward?
I think both the segments are growing, so the adhesive, since the base is very low, so the percentage terms will increase over a period of time. But at the same time, if you see, piping sector is equally growing, and now after the acquisition of racks, the piping division will also grow faster. So we don't see there will be a much change, but yeah, over a period of time, adhesive mix will increase. So today, maybe pipe is contributing around 72-73%, and the adhesive is contributing around 27-28%. Going forward, it may be close to about 60-40 or maybe 65-35%.
Now, the company recently added capacity in the piping segment. So what is your current capacity utilization and what are the targets ahead?
I think today, if you see, our capacity is around 152,000 metric ton. Right now, the utilization is around 55-60% in the first half. But you see, historically, the second half is always powerful. The second half generate at a profit level is almost 50% more than the first quarter. And the top line level also, if you see, normally it contribute 30-40% more than the first half. So our peak quarter is now started. So we are very confident that the utilization level will improve in the second half of the year.
And finally, what's the guidance in terms of growth ahead for your top line and bottom line?
I think top line side in pipe business, 15-20% kind of growth will be there in the value terms, and adhesive we will be close to about 20-25% kind of growth. EBITDA level, whatever the current EBITDA levels are there, we think that kind of EBITDA will be maintained, maybe 1% plus or minus, but otherwise more or less it will be maintained at the same level.
Great to have you on board. Thank you for sharing with us the growth outlook, your revenue mix, as well as capacity utilization plans going forward. It definitely has been a strong quarter for the company. But let's move on and start off with a countdown on Market Fatafat. We have everyone standing by. Let's begin with the first stock that has been dominating headlines day after day, and that no doubt is Jet Airways. And Mubina, as someone would have bought the stock at the start of the week, they would be grinning quite widely right now.
Well, specifically speaking, they would be sitting on a neat 40% profit if they would have. Yes, this stock has certainly been a big buzzer. It's trading at a 5-month high. In just the last 4 days, the market cap has been expanded by 1,100 crore rupees. Remember, of course, the biggest buzz around here is that Tata may step in to rescue Jet Airways of sorts. Even the government is said to be in talks with bankers, with Tata. They're essentially sitting across the table asking bankers to perhaps take a haircut when it comes to this deal. Not just that, of course, do remember today is the Tata Sons board meet, and there is a possibility that they will mull about possibly infusing cash in Jet Airways. So all of this has caused this stock price to rally, not just today, but for the last couple of days.
Oh, absolutely. Now it's sitting pretty at 351, and it seems like this deal is definitely going to be a game changer for the airline. Moving right on, let's focus in on another stock, and that's in India Bulls Housing Finance. And day after day, this one has been in focus, but not for the right reasons, under pressure. So Gaurav, what does one do at 772?
The stock has immediate supporter levels of 760. This were the levels from where we saw a bounce back in last time also. So people who have bought earlier at whatever higher levels, keep a stop loss of 760. Below this, another 5-7% fall cannot be ruled out. Fresh entry is not advisable at this point in time, but keep a stop loss of 760 for earlier longs.
There you have it, support at 760. Moving right on then, ONGC is another heavyweight that's in news today. Karanya, let's talk about the divestment news.
And it's not only ONGC, of course, it's reeling under pressure a fair bit, but it's also IOC and OIL which are in focus. The government, as part of their plan to meet the divestment target for the year, are actually planning to sell worth $2 billion of stake in ONGC, Indian Oil as well as Oil India combined. Do remember that the target for the year is 80,000 crore rupees in terms of divestment, and the government is considering a 5% equity stake sale in ONGC, a 3% sale in Indian Oil and a 10% stake sale in Oil India. So all of these stocks are under tremendous pressure and very much in focus.
Oh yes, indeed, they are. All the divestment candidates are all under pressure in trade today. But let's move on then and check in on some of the oil marketing companies as well. Remember, we have seen a lot of them in focus, largely on account of the fact that crude oil prices have been slumping. In fact, you have seen a lot of these stocks in focus. Incidentally, today the stock has taken a bit of a breather, but the last 5 to 7 days has been very stellar for HPCL. It's been one of the best performing OMC stocks since the fuel excise cut. The management as well has gone on record to say that the crude fall impact will be reflecting in retail prices. 250 nearly, that's HPCL for you. Let's move right on and pull up a stray infra. Incidentally, it's going to come out with its numbers today. And the stock is seeing a very robust rally ahead of that, Siddharth.
Yes, but don't go on that percentage number, because stock was at 140 in its peak time and it went to almost 30 levels, and on a smaller base, move which comes percentage wise, it appears a strong move. Nevertheless, why I have selected this stock is not because for the results, but the volumes today are already at 4-week high and we are just 2.5 hours into session. Also, if you look at futures segment, there is decent amount of formation of long position. The resistance of 40 or 39.40 zone, that seems to be getting challenged the way a move is taking place in this stock. So keep eye on stray infra, and if numbers, as you are saying, Awan, if they fall in place, then probably that resistance of 39.40 would be breached.
All right, that's something to be watched out for. But for now, it's a pretty strong move. Meantime, in addition to Bharti Infratel, it's Bharti Airtel as well that's moved steadily from 303 to 320 in a single trading session. Gaurav, what's the undertone of the stock? Are you buying into this move? Do you believe it's a pop, or do you think it's sustainable?
The move is quite interesting, and it's made a swing high today above levels of 315. However, it's reversed or seen some resistance from 50 DMA, which is placed around 325 level. I would recommend buying a stock if it gives a close above 325, which should give a double bottom breakout as well. You can expect 350 with the stop loss of 315. Buy once it closes above 325.
All right, that's the take coming in on Bharti Airtel. Well, moving right on. And Yes Bank, a very volatile and contentious newsmaker. What exactly is the latest update, Mobina?
Well, that it has been. Remember that we have seen continuous selling pressure in a Yes Bank. First up, of course, we did have Chairman Ashok Chawla stepping down, saying, there are certain charges that are being talked about with respect to that. Yesterday, post-market hours, we had the news that O.P. Bhatt as well resigned. This as the expert or the head of the search and selection committee that has been put in place to look for a successor to Rana Kapoor after he steps down from the post of the MD and CEO. The stock price has taken, I think, another day of a very sharp cut coming in after a 7 to 8% decline yesterday. It's continuing that downtake, and now it's down by 6.5%.
Keep an eye out on Yes Bank, 6.5% off as the news flow keeps trickling in on this one. Meantime, it's Ajanta Pharma that's lighting up the screen today. And Karanya, let's talk a little bit about the approval that's come in.
Well, yes, absolutely buzzing away, and this is on back of the news flow that Ajanta Pharma has got the US FDA approval for, it's a tentative nod, mind you, solifenacin succinate. The street now awaits the final approval of the same. The analysts expect the launch to happen in the first quarter of FY20 with an annual sales number of more than $1 billion. So $1 billion. So clearly on back of that, they're expecting the stock not only now but in the future as well, the company to do pretty well once the final approval is in place.
All right, Ajanta Pharma 4% and counting, lot of potential for this drug. But let's move on and pull up Federal Bank. That's in focus today, and that's largely on the back of the news that homegrown private equity firm True North is picking up a 17.4% stake in a financial services unit of Federal Bank. This is for 168 crore rupees. This is part of a larger deal. This is the company Fed Bank Financial Services. This is going to be a buyer preferential share issue, and FedFina board has approved the share allotment just earlier this week, nudging at the doors of 80 on Federal Bank. Time to move on to stock number 10, and that is NBCC. So that, let's talk a little bit about the trends today.
Well, in cash market, the stock is down by 2%, in futures is down by around 1%. And we are seeing a huge pile-up of position today also. Now, I want to club today's data with last trading session's data, one, because yesterday too, we saw a huge correction in price and there was built-up of short positions. So today, if someone is getting confused that it's just 1% fall in futures and built-up is high, whether it's long or short, then you need to look back to yesterday's data, which was also in line with today's data. So these are short positions and NBCC is under pressure.
All right, that's the take coming in. Under pressure is the key headline for NBCC. High volumes as well being seen. Moving right on, Madison Sumi came out with its numbers. The management spoke, and now the stock is seeing some recovery. But let's understand how one should closely read into this. Gaurav, what's your take?
And the stock has given a breakdown from bearish flag pattern. It's more of a continuation pattern, so I would not say that there has been trend reversal yet. I would recommend, or I would advise to stay away from the stock. As long as trading below 150, there's a chance it may again slip towards 140 and below. So avoid the stock for time being.
Watch out for that stock, but as of now, it's going to be an avoid. Moving on, then Aarti Industries. We don't chat about this one too often, but Mubina, it sure is in news today.
Well, there's some promoter activity witnessed over here. Chandrakant Gogri, who is classified as a promoter of the company, seems to have been selling his stake in the company. So just between 12th to 14th of November, that's a span of approximately 2-3 days, he has disposed of 1.22 lakh shares. So his stake, which was earlier at 4.15%, has now been reduced to 4% in the company. Remember, the stock has seen an up move of 21% since the start of October. At this point of time, in today's trading session, there's a recovery from the day's low, but still lower by 0.5%.
That is Aarti Industries for you. But tell you what, let's take a quick breather right here on the show. Come right back. We have a whole host of other stocks. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Still tuned into Market Fatafat. Well, the markets are in a good mood, and let's find out which are the stocks that you should keep on your radar today. Well, we're down 12 stocks. Let's move right on to number 13. And what's the fund activity in NRB Bearings, Karunya?
The reason why it's in focus today, Avan, is the fact that HDFC Mutual Fund has acquired 14.4 lakh shares in the company. This is according to the bulk deal data that we got last evening. It's almost a 1.5% stake in the company, which they've acquired at a price point of almost 185 rupees a share. And that's the news that's keeping the stock abuzz in today's session.
It sure is. Knocking on the doors of 190, that's NRB Bearings buzzing away in trade. Another stock to keep our watch out for is Glenmark. In fact, the stock has seen quite a move in trade today. Now, okay, that's cooled off, pardon me, now at the lowest point of the trading day, but nonetheless, it is positive news. In early trade, the stock spiked to about 673 as the company received the US FDA approval. This is for teriflunomide, which is a generic drug that has been granted the final approval by the US FDA. And with this approval, the company is eligible for 180 days of shared generic drug exclusivity of the drug. The portfolio currently stands at 142 products authorized for distribution in the US and 57 ANDAs pending approval with the US FDA. That stock is in news today at 652. Moving right on then to Jubilant Food, and let's check in on that stock. So that clearly it looks like traders and investors taking a bite out of this one.
Absolutely, dieting has gone for toss, I guess, and we are clearly seeing sixth consecutive day of gains for the stock, Aman, and long formation continues. We have seen that how stock did take support around 1050 odd levels and created base there, and now moving higher. So nothing much to say, but sixth consecutive day of gains and formation of longs.
All right, sure is. Nothing much to say, but nonetheless, the reaction being reflected in the stock in trade today. Moving on, let's check in on IT, what's going on, and today Infosys is in focus. Gaurav, let's talk about the levels that you're watching out for. The stock is close to its 200 DMA. Where do you see it headed?
Well, you pointed it right. In last couple of occasions, we have seen the stock bouncing from the 200 DMA. It's stuck in the range. There's a good amount of resistance at the level of 700. I would recommend buying around the 200 DMA level of 635, 638. Keep a stop of 625, 626 on the upside. A bounce towards 660, 665 cannot be ruled out. So any dip in the name can be used as a buying opportunity.
All right, that's the take coming in on Infosys. Let's move on then, and Bharti Infratel sure is a big news maker today, Mubina, at stock number 17.
Well, yes, this is on account of an ET report that is coming in, and it's with respect to Bharti Infratel perhaps being seen as a potential buyer of Vodafone Idea's fiber assets, funds from which, combined with the 25,000 crore rupee equity fundraising, will be something that will shore up the telecom market leader's balance sheet, help it catch up on capex and defend turf in its fight against Rel Jio and Bharti Airtel. Now, the equity fundraising includes an 18,000 crore rupee fund infusion from Vodafone's promoter groups, that's UK Vodafone as well as the Birla Group, and it's also a signal to rivals of their commitment to the telecom business and intent to remain in the fight for the long run. Bharti Infratel higher by 1.5%.
Yes, indeed, it is going to be a big newsmaker. On the back of that, clearly it's in focus today. Well, moving right on then, what are the capex plans for SRF? Karanya, spell out the details.
Well, it is gaining away in trade, Avan, in today's trading session after commissioning chemical complex, which takes their capex from 180 odd crore rupees to all the way 257 crores. They've increased this capex. They've set up this facility, in order to enhance and integrate their agrochemical plant in Gujarat. So this is the update that has come by on the exchanges, which is keeping the stock in focus.
But now it's cooled off, down 1% at 2,034. Nonetheless, a newsmaker. GAIL India, meantime, and clearly this one is on the brokerage radar. In fact, Jefferies has said they advise investors to buy the weakness. They have a target in the long term at 450 on the stock. They believe that the near-term environment is challenging, but in the medium term, there's going to be very strong growth outlook, and they're bullish on the stock. So buy into the weakness is what Jeffrey says. 345 is where it's at. Another pharma stock to pull up then, and that is Strides. Let's understand which way it's headed, Siddharth.
Actually, after 4 days of consolidation and not losses, the stock is showing decent price action. And if you look beyond 4 days, and then there was a huge spike, Avan, with decent volumes. And today again we are seeing fresh formation of long position. So a case of price volume breakout, Stride.
All right, clearly, so put the brakes on that fall. The stock is convincingly in the green. Bajaj Finance, meantime, I just want to understand where this one is headed. It was quite a steady performer, but at 23.78, does one remain patient? Does one look to buy, or what's the take? Gaurav.
If somebody has already bought, play with a trailing stop loss, keep a trailing stop loss of 23.40 and play along. But if somebody wants to have a fresh view, one should avoid it. It's trading in a range. The resistance is seen at 24.40, 24.50 levels. On the other hand, 22.50 is acting as an immediate support level. If it's stuck in the range, either you buy at lower levels or you buy above the breakout levels. At 23.78, it's an avoid.
Right, an avoid call coming in on Bajaj Finance right now. Meantime, let's move on to Oil India, and yes, Mubina, this one continues to remain that big newsmaker on the divestment news.
Well, yes, the government, of course, is very keen to touch its divestment targets, and this time around, it's eyeing 3 oil companies. That's ONGC, Oil India, as well as Indian Oil Corporation. It's a $2 billion share sale that they are looking at. 10% is the stake that they're looking at selling in Oil India. Do remember they already own about a 66% stake. The timing of the sale currently unclear, but it could take a month or so. Remember that only about a fourth of the 80,000 crore asset disposal target has been met so far. So this is, of course, the latest coming in. And excuse me, something that's caused the stock price of Oil India to crack more than 2%.
All right, keep an eye out on this one. That's the divestment news coming in. Nearly 10% is being looked at in Oil India. Moving on to number 23, Tata Sponge. What's the news in this one, Karunya?
Avan, the news is that the board of the company in a meeting has approved 1,000 crore worth of preferential share issue. This will be issued to the parent company, which is Tata Steel, and do note that it's going to be on a private placement basis. So that's an update that came by on the exchanges later last night, last evening, and that's what's keeping the stock abuzz in trade today.
The stock that's buzzing away in today's trading session. Well, I'm going to move from one Tata Group stock to another, and that's TCS in focus, largely on the CLSA radar today. They've reiterated a buy stance. They've got a target price of 2,600 on the stock. Very optimistic. They believe that the large deal wins in the company are going to sustain. There's increasing optimism for the long-term as well as medium-term growth, and therefore it's a buy opportunity from CLSA. Moving on then to Axis Bank, and let's understand what's going on with this large cap, Siddharth.
Banking stocks positionally are doing well, Avan, and yesterday too Axis Bank did pretty well for itself. Today we are seeing some softness in prices, but this softness is accompanied by very high rise in open interest. So basically people will say that these are formation of short positions. I think it won't be fair to conclude in that way. Why I've selected this stock? Because the near-term resistance 630s, 635 is there. Stock is correcting from those levels. So people might feel that these positions which are getting built up are short positions, but overall you have to see the trend, and the trend for Axis Bank is positive, and hence the position which are getting developed, you have to give them a positive picture.
All right, check in on Axis Bank. Near-term resistance between 630 to 635. To another banking stock then, it's Bandhan Bank, which is in focus today. From 460 to 480 today. What are the volumes like? And Gaurav, what is your technical opinion?
Well, if you look at Bandhan Bank, one thing has to be kept in mind that it had a couple of gaps. It has filled one gap. Another one is above levels of 500. It can fill those gaps in case if it trades and sustains above 500. This is also the level where 50 DMA is also placed. So I would recommend buying Bandhan Bank only above levels of 500 for targets of 530, 540, keeping the stop loss at 485. It can move another 1 or 2% from here, but as long as trading below 500, it will be under pressure.
All right, that's the take coming in on the stock Bandhan Bank. On that note, thanks very much, guys, for joining in right here on the show. We'll wrap it up on Market Fatafat. Stay tuned for markets at noon.